pay attention to it because this is one of the first things that drops on the floor because the way it's packaged is just kind of loose in there. So once you open it up, it has a tendency to roll out and fall out. Okay, so put your circuit on, then put your HME and suction catheter on. All right, once you have your circuit assembled, and what I'm probably gonna do, I'm gonna take that vent arm off of that and put on here, so when you have your circuit, instead of trying to say, okay, where am I gonna put this? You can actually use the vent arm and clamp your circuit in so nothing falls, okay? All right, so once you have your circuit assembled, you're going to turn your vent on. So when I turn it on, what do I need to do? What required tests do I need to do?
The check test, like the
Pre-use check, and what else?
Patient, something.
circuit compliance.
Circuit compliance, patient circuit compliance. Okay, those are two things that you will verbalize, because we don't do that in here. Okay, so everybody remember that. It's a lot on this sheet, but again, take your time, take a deep breath, and just go through the process, okay? So once you say, I will do a pre-use check, compensate for circuit compliance, I'm gonna give you, you're not gonna have to calculate, as far as I know, ideal body weight. What I'm gonna do is say, okay, we want PRVC, a rate of 15, tidal volume of 400, PEEP of 5, FiO2 of 100. Yes, we know we don't do 100 here, but you can say that and then we'll put on 21. Or just to cut out any confusion, I may just tell you 21. That way, nobody, we don't have any hiccups. So once you get your, and it's kind of odd the way this is set up because it asks you to set your parameters before you connect your patient, your alarm parameters. It's kind of hard to set parameters if you don't know what your peak pressure is and stuff like that. Okay, so I'll see what we can do as far as correcting this. But once you put the settings in, we're gonna start ventilation. Remember this, because this is always, for now, for the next couple semesters, turn your vent on before you hook it up to your patient. Do not hook your patient up without turning on the vent. That's -2, okay? And -2 doesn't seem like a lot, but when you don't have so many points, it does add up, okay? All right, so once you connect your patient, let your vent cycle. It's going to alarm initially. The low minute ventilation alarm is going to alarm, okay? Do not panic. And yes, as you learn more, you're gonna think, okay, I need to either change my tidal volume or my respiratory rate because it's minute ventilation. That's true. That's what makes up minute ventilation. But the low minute ventilation alarm default on this ventilator is 5 liters per minute. It takes a while for the ventilator to cycle to a level of 5 minutes per liter, or 5 liters per minute, excuse me. Okay, that's not gonna happen as soon as you connect and turn it on. So once it cycles through a little bit, and I was explaining to this group here, once you connect them, go ahead and hit alarm silence because it's gonna alarm. I can listen to breath sounds, okay? I can look at my monitor, I can check my heart rate, I can check my SAT, okay? I can do my patient assessment, okay? I can look at the color, tone, and all that stuff. Now, only thing on here for your assessment are breath sounds, respiratory rate, SpO2, heart rate, blood pressure. All that's gonna be on the monitor, okay? So once I complete that, my ventilator should be good to go. Shouldn't be alarmed anymore. So now, once I have that, I can do my vent check, okay, or excuse me. Once I assess and come back to here, my vent should be good, I can set my alarms. Because then you'll see your peak pressure, your minute ventilation should have settled in, and you can put down your alarm settings. Remember on your vent sheets, the alarm parameters are on the vent sheet itself. So if you get stumped and can't remember exactly what it is, look at your vent sheet. It'll say 20% above and below for your minute ventilation, 10 above for your peak pressure, 10 above and below for respiratory rate. Respiratory rate, if you're set at 18 or less, low rate is gonna be 8. If it's 20 or 19 or more, whatever, 10 less than that, that's what your alarm's gonna be set at. So if it's 20, low respiratory rate is 10. All right. Index expiratory pressure is 2 to 5. 2 to 5 above and below. So if you're set at 5, 2 above and 2 below is where you want to set your alarms. All right. That's another one that's a patient safety issue. So if you don't set it correctly, that's a -2.
And we're going with the rubric, not
Yes,
the alarm.
with the rubric.
Okay.
Yeah. is the alarm different?
Says 3 to 5.
3 to 5? And that's where I saw that, was on your vent sheet. So whatever the rubric says, that's what I'm giving you credit for, is 2 to 5, okay? All right, and again, it's a -2 if you don't turn your vent on before you connect your patient. So once you've set your alarms, you've already done your assessment, what we would go into then, I will start asking you questions. So give me indications for initiating mechanical ventilation.
AAIH.
Okay, what does that
Acute
mean?
respiratory failure,
Mhm.
apnea, hypoxic
Impending.
respiratory failure,
And impending respiratory, yes. What are signs of respiratory distress?
First lip breathing, tripoding,
Nasal flare.
retraction.
accessory muscle.
That's it. And nobody's gonna tripod on a vent, okay? They don't need to be on a vent. But that is a sign of distress. That's what we wanted to know, that you understand what the signs of respiratory distress. You will see accessory muscle use on a vent. You will see nasal flaring on a vent. Probably not gonna see pursed lip breathing. But there are some things that you'll see, and you'll notice, you'll be like, wow, that does happen on the ventilator. You definitely see retractions, nasal flaring, and accessory muscle use. Okay, so once I ask you those questions, now we go into look at your patient, make sure they're safe. Okay, make sure, because we would never leave an area like this. So make sure everything is clean, patient is safe. What are we gonna do before we leave the room?
Put up the guardrails,
Leave it better than we left. when we came
Okay.
in.
So just like when we came in the
leave
room,
them safe
we
and
did something,
comfortable.
you're gonna foam out. Or if you're washing your hands, I've never said this, but wash your hands for 30 seconds, soap and water, if they're soiled, which I'm not sure how your hands would be soiled if you got gloves on or whatever. But anyway, we're gonna foam out. Once you foam out, you're gonna document. Okay, now yes, you're doing a vent check while you're doing the station, but for the rubric's sake, that's just something you'll say at the end. Don't foam out, document. That'll be the same next semester too, okay? Questions? It's
So-
pretty straightforward. Go ahead.
I just wanna make sure to get the organized right, so we set our vent up first, right? We
Mhm.
start the ventilator. We're going to connect to our patient and do an assessment, and then once we realize they're tolerating it well, we'll set our alarms, and then we'll do our vent check, and then you're gonna ask us questions in regards to that. And then we're gonna assess our patient again, make sure the patient is safe, comfortable, nothing's out of whack.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
And you don't have to do, for the end, you don't have to do like a full assessment where you're doing all vital stuff. You just assess your patient, make sure they're comfortable, they're connected to the vent, you see chest rise and fall, okay, your rails are up, that kind of stuff, okay? Your initial assessment, when you connect them and you're waiting for your vent to cycle, that's when you're listening to breath sounds, looking at heart rate, looking at your temperature, blood pressure, that stuff, okay? All right, so what we're gonna do